Everything to a child is an adventure. Not too far from what my family hoped would turn into our family home, they even named it Windy Acres. I think a few family members were stuck on the old Ponderosa TV shows and had developed fanatic love interests for Big Hoss and Little John. I would rather eat a bucket of the hottest peppers than go back to what started as a family home and then turned into a cult of darkness. The best cults are the ones that form in lore of family. See, the people inside don't know what's happening around them until it's too late. But with all cults, the house of cards falls, the land gets sold and people move on, forgetting what happened on the ground they walk on. Not too far from Windy Acres, one could find a place called the Pond. An unforgettable teenage hangout spot that was more like a man-made river than a pond. Either by car or by foot, most of us kids just walked there. It was one of the nice spots to escape the tyranny of one's parents. However, you would arrive at first you would be met by a number of camp spots along the road. I always thought this was strange. 1. It was too close to the road to camp. However, later on I figured out what the burn pits were. If you think about it, you never know of anything until you see it with your own eyes. For if you believe a word it can be a lie. Funny the things you pick up, when hanging around a campfire, even if it is with a guy named Charlie. But Charlie is not part of this story, he is part of another. Past the camps there are tiny paths that branch out into the woods as if they were an open hand. Along the path one would find dolls' heads on pikes, old and new cars lost in the woods. I once found a Walmart truck stuck down in there. We never found out how it got in there. Along the ground one could see lines of yarn from travelers who felt the need to go deeper into the woods. Before I take you further, dear reader, I want you to understand this place was never built as the haunted woods or the place where darkness lives or some other jazz. But somehow became the place where no one goes unless you're called. The locals would not talk about it. According to the maps, it didn't exist. But I can assure you this place is there. I guess in a way our parents are to blame, once they tell you not to ever go to the pond. It becomes something of a coming-of-age ritual. Something another person used to say, if you find one in a hole there is probably more of them down there. Anything hidden or tucked away in the woods has always been a deadly temptation for me, and this is where I met another local named Terry. He however had a bad reaction to fear. Whenever he was spooked, he would double over and vomit. After a long night, the poor guy would just dry heave. After walking down and navigating the seeming endless paths of yarn and the magical growing junkyard, you would first spot the top of a crane, just the top because the rest was underwater. My first indication, that is if I didn't already have one, that this place was a little strange, was the fact one could see cars, trucks, vans, and other vehicles underwater. There was even a line of them one could walk on to get to the crane. Which, a number of young adventurers would do and then take a swan dive into the water. One of the other boys had told stories of a voice at night. Terry had heard the stories as well, and we decided that since we were both on the same mission, we would camp together at the mouth of the pond. Terry, like any boy being on the outskirts of being a teenager, was more than happy to provide information from another one of his trips. Here where he encountered a girl dressed in a black dress with long brown hair. It was strange, he said. I was following one of the trails when I stumbled on this chick propped up on an old oak tree. She had her hand up her dress, twisting and moving like the devil got a hold of her. Smiling as he reached in his backpack to get a pack of marshmallows. I decided right then and there her name must have been Mona. Well, did you get to talk to her? I asked. Well, that's the thing, when she saw me, she hopped up from that old oak tree, turning pale as a ghost, running toward the pond. I looked for her, never found her. Hairs on the back of my neck started to rise up a little, unaware I had changed the subject of our conversation. So what do you know about this place? I said as I was looking for a property map I had swapped from my uncle's desk. The only thing on the map listed this place as an old sawmill. But I somehow knew that was not the case. Terry said, I only know what my father told me and he didn't want to talk about it too much. This place has been here for some time, no one wants to claim it, and every few years it takes a stupid drunk teenager's life. One of the ones that climbs the old crane over there and does the swan dive. When I say claims I mean they never come up, they're down there in the water somewhere. It's an ongoing nightmare, father said. His father told him that the place used to be some type of mine back in the day. They found something ugly buried down there and hit a underground river. I guess after that the water just bubbled up and took over. What about the miners? I asked. As far as I know they're down there too, maybe somewhere part of the sludge of the pond. Father says that underground river flows right out of hell. As the night went on we didn't talk much about the pond, just as I was falling asleep. I saw bright fires burning from the pits up beside the road and the glow of the silhouette of a woman standing on her toes, arms raised in the air preparing to take a swan dive from the crane. As the woman jumped with Olympic-like skill, I heard a dark voice echo from the woods. Bring me 5 and I will tell you 5 tales, bring me 5 and I will tell you 5 tales. Terry's eyes began to widen and he vomited into the campfire.